Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
And welcome everybody to another edition of the Critical Blast podcast, Critical Pod Blast, whatever we want to call it. We're down here in the Critical Blast cave, talking again with comic book creators like we try to do every night. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
I'm good. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I ordered a sandwich. I ordered a sandwich from Wawa's, and they didn't put the cucumbers and the tomatoes and everything. Like, they completely botched this order, and I'm like ugh. Like, one thing you don't do is mess up my sandwich, and they fucking messed up my sandwich. So,
Don't mess with the man's sandwich.
So, how are you today, by the way?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, other than sandwich difficulties?
Well, this is what you call a first world problem. So, here I am.
This is true. This is very true. So, thanks for the short notice.
Yes.
I put out the call for anybody who want to come on tonight, and you guys kind of jumped right in. So we're glad to have you here. You have an Indiegogo campaign.
I do.
And that is it's got about what? It's less than 20 days to wrap up now, right?
17 days exactly right now.
Okay.
So this is the second half of the 60-day campaign before it goes into in demand.
Now it seems like I've been seeing, Road Warrior Drake on Twitter for a while now. Was that just a lot of promo work and it just launched, or is this a second book that I missed out on the first one?
So for the last 6 or so months, okay, so here's the thing. So I had a first campaign back in September, and that campaign was cut short by Indiegogo for some reason, because I had it at 30 days, and then when I went to extend it for 60, they cut it off short. I don't know exactly what happened with that. So I had to go back to the drawing board and say, you know what, before I relaunch, let me go ahead and see what worked the first time. And I took about 7 or 8 months, not even, maybe close to 9 months almost, to plan it out and try to see what worked the first time, what didn't work, and then here I am. So with this time around, with the mailing list, having added a perk with the mailing list, I was able to grow it bigger than the last time. So I officially launched in June 26th, I think was the date that I launched. And I've been doing a lot of heavy promoting, cross-promoting, getting involved in other projects. But the last 2 weeks I haven't been promoting as much because of personal stuff. But I'm here now. So this is actually my first promotional stream in about 2 weeks. So I was like,
jump back in the saddle there.
Yeah, I was watching a couple of your last couple of shows. I said, okay, let me see if I can get on this guy's show. So I got the notification. I was like, okay, yes, I'll get on your show. So here I am.
Well, this is the flying by the seat of your pants school of podcasting. And we have Rosetta's in the chat there if you want to send her the link. More than welcome to bring in any of the team you want.
Sure, why not? Let me. I might be having some more crashers coming in too, so why not? Let's make it a party.
Let them. This place has been crashed before, and Rosetta was part of that crash too.
Yeah, but they didn't put the cucumbers in my sandwich. They didn't put the lettuce, tomato on. And it's actually my fault, because I should have been watching them. But
I pay them extra not to put cucumbers on my sandwich.
Yeah.
I like to, when they say, "Do you want lettuce and tomato and pickles?" I'm like, "Can you replace the lettuce, tomato, and pickle with like more meat? That'd be good with me." And
you know
extra mayo.
Let me see if they put the bacon on there. They put the bacon's on there. I'm cool. So.
Aha! Your colorist and co-host is in. Hey, Rosetta, how you doing?
I'm here. That counts.
I see Testify is in the stream as well. Testify is getting to be a regular around these here parts.
I sent him the link too if he wants to come in, but I get the feeling he's scared of the Street Champion. So I told you, understand if you don't want to come on Testify. I totally get it. Because God forbid you have anything to promote.
If he comes on, we start talking about wristbands, and that just kind of that bothers him.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah. So we're talking tonight about Road Warrior Drake, which is looks to me like sort of a Mad Max, Howard the Duck kind of thing going there.
He's not a duck.
He's not a duck.
No, he's not. He's not. I gotta put
All
that
right,
out
well-
there because if we're supposedly against identity politics, then we need to be consistent with that. So
Okay. So he was assigned duck at birth.
no,
He wasn't even assigned duck at birth. Okay, so he's
as far as we know,
okay. So what is Drake then?
he's the B citizen. He was for some reason born into our world, and he assumes the title of the street champion, taking on these gangs in the streets who are out selling this drug called Romero, which enslaves people, it controls their mind, and keeps them highly addicted. And it's part of a town that has been annihilated by war, so it's a little dystopian town, and people are looking for hope. They're looking for a means of any kind of shining light, because in a society, in a town decimated by bombings and poverty all over, they're looking for any kind of beacon of hope. Well, you get the street warriors, who are a network of gangs with special abilities under the umbrella leadership of a mysterious man called the Crimson, who is the mastermind behind this drug, and the mastermind behind something even more sinister. And they try to take over the town, try to usurp the bureaucracy, and eventually become its rulers. Well, now you enter Drake, who is not having any of that. At the very least, he wants to just maintain some kind of superiority. It's an ego thing for him at first. So he takes on these street warriors, and in a series of one-on-ones. But he goes through a process where he ends up having to face a certain reality, which is, well, is he more than just a brawler, or is he serving a bigger purpose? That's the thing. What kind of purpose is he serving? What is he here for? What does he do? Well, I'm not answering that question for you guys. You got to just get the book and find out for yourself. This is a 100+ pages, at the very least 120 pages, at least.
That's a lot of pages.
Mm-hmm.
So they needed a beacon of hope, and they got a beak of hope.
I don't get it.
Oh, he looks like he has a beak.
Do you get it? Do you get it? Because I don't get it.
I get it. There's a duck joke.
No. That's not acceptable. I thought
Okay.
we discussed this before it came out to the show, that that kind of material was highly offensive. It was not going to be discussed.
Okay.
You're already breaking the non-disclosure agreement, so now we're going to have to, once we get off the air, we're going to have to make some arrangements, because I'm highly offended.
Mea culpa. Mea culpa. Please don't burn my house down.
No, just be worried about selling coke in your neighborhood.
So, Rosetta, you said in the chat that you are the colorist on this book.
For the future projects, this current one he has is black and white.
That's what I was going to say. I said your job looks easy here, because it's,
He kind of hired me to start doing projects with him this year. So I'm doing a future run for a color version that'll be released much later, that's based on his original demo draft of the book. And then I'll be working on colorist stuff with him for his next projects.
all right. So very cool. So there's more to come after Road Warrior Drake.
Yeah.
And
I make merchandise.
Absolutely cool. And Elasmat, am I going to say that right? Is it Elasmat? I don't know.
The first time, you had it right the first time, and that's actually impressive, because everybody gets it wrong the first time. So I'm very impressed by that.
Well, thank you very much. I noticed you've shortened your name, because on Twitter it's Elasmat Films and Comics.
Yeah, but it looks better shortened on the YouTubes. So.
Oh yeah, it has to be. But I was going to ask you, what kind of films do you do? Are they live action, animation, claymation?
So a lot of live action films. So I've done a couple of horror films. I've done a science fiction film. I've done a drama, a martial arts film. I have a filmography on IMDb. So if you look for Alberto Martinez, the first, because there's a lot of Alberto Martinez's on IMDb, but when you find me, I'm with the Roman numeral 1, and you'll see my filmography. I'm a writer, director, film producer, editor, actor, sometimes score composer, depending on how I feel at the moment.
He's a badass.
a triple threat at the very least. So, so do you write your comics with an eye toward converting them into a film at some time?
I think that's a mistake for a comic book writer to approach it that way, because in a way I kind of did, but when you write a treatment for a comic book, it's not the same as a film. For example, when you write a film, if you're one of those filmmakers that has an eye for how it's going to look to the camera, everything you're writing is going to reflect each shot and how each shot is going to be designed, versus when you do a comic book where it's not completely relying on dialogue, and the comic book panels must rely on some kind of dynamic visual. So you can't afford really excessive panels of static. You want some dynamic visual, some action-oriented scenes happening as often on a comic book panel. So when I was writing the book, I did kind of look at it from the treatment of a film, but halfway I was like, you know what? Go back to how they did the comics, how it was done, what they're striving for, what the strengths are. And usually the strengths are just visual dynamic. And that means don't worry about looking at it from a cinematographer's perspective. Look at it as just, okay, just get the action in there and don't get too impressive with the wording. Just make it exciting and fun for somebody. So I wrote this and drew it through the lens of, making a graphic novel. As far as the future film adaptation, that's down the road, which I do have ideas for, but it'll be definitely different from the book itself.
Okay. Yeah, I think a lot of creators do try to write it like they're writing the storyboard for a movie or even a cinematic experience. I think not Warren Ellis, but Grant Morrison goes for that whole cinematic feel, because he'll just like do these big splash pages and then a logical jump happens. He's like, oh, you filled that part in with your mind.
Yeah, I would say actually, if you go back to some of the ones from when I was growing up, I would say one that did that well without going too jumpy would actually be when they did the Doomsday Saga in the 90s. It had a lot of those kind of scenes and those kind of where the whole page is him like falling out of this robot and threatening the guys that are trying to kill everyone and stuff like that. And they had those images were just powerful. But it has to be done right, and it has to not be so choppy that people can't follow the story.
Exactly, and it helps with the timing. I mean, Will Eisner talks about how to create comics and to control timing and pacing, and he gives example of like 3 panels in a row, and you've got this action happening in the background, and in the foreground you got a faucet where the drip is forming at the tip of the faucet and then falling off in the third panel. Really gives a good sense of how long that scene is taking place, which is something you can do in comics and not necessarily do all that well in film, easily rather.
Speaking of long, this right here is about 5 inches. I bought a 10-inch sandwich. Now, this would have been a lot more fulfilling, and it tastes good, but it would have been a lot more fulfilling with the cucumber and the lettuce and the tomatoes that I asked for, as well as the pickles. I feel jaded. I feel short-sighted. Not short-sighted, short-changed. I feel short-changed.
Yeah.
I'm going.
You lost
I'm
out
going
into
to
the sandwich.
Exactly. I'm going through the stress right now. So,
Do we have sandwiches every stream I'm on?
This is the first one, and I'm actually offended right now. So, I don't know. I'm going through something right now. I feel like my life is changing. I feel like my worldview has been affected, compromised. I've been compromised.
Yeah. Well, you're supposed to be able to get 12 inches for $5, and I'm betting you probably got 5 inches for $12 there. That's
no, I got the 10. I got the 10-inch one, but I just finished eating half of it because the chicken was good. Well, the chicken was good. At least I had the bacon and the onions, but like I selected everything. So
yeah, okay. So you guys are actually inspiring people, and by you guys, I don't mean just Alasmat Comics, but all the people who are now crowdfunding books and just striking out on their own. It's like there's just been this grassroots movement where everybody who's capable of creating comics is finding out how capable they are, sometimes how capable they aren't, but it's a killing field, and the strong will survive it.
Well, but you put it correctly. Killing field is exactly the way to describe it. There's a lot of cutthroat stuff going on. My eyes have been opened as far as the indie scene and especially Comicsgate. there's definitely a lot of cutthroat stuff going on, and it isn't as unified as I thought it was. But you know what? As an independent creator, you don't want to go into anything expecting people to help you. You want to be able to have some kind of how you say, you want to be able to manage as much on your own. So, for example, you want to be able to have an idea of what your plan is as far as business wise. So you create the book, you produce the book. What's the next step? How you market? So the marketing is the hard part. That's like in and of itself its own job. And that, and in my case, because I have a family and I have 2 jobs, I don't do as much marketing as I should because either I'm working or I'm trying to do my share at home, which sometimes I get so wrapped up in the book that I don't do as much as I can at home. But
I can there.
But where a lot of creators get jaded is the fact that they expect people to just hand them a platform or hand them the assistance, and it doesn't work that way. First, you got to have an idea that's intriguing to other creators. Then you want to, form your own network, try to offer, assistance from your end, and then you get assistance in return. So you're helping each other out. So you got to actually build your empire. So there's a building that you got to partake in, and you got to invest in. That's the part that a lot of creators kind of get lost in. So in some cases they make the book.
Keep going.
Okay. So in some cases they create the book, they have the idea, they have the artist, they got the writer. What next? Oh, let me get on this so-and-so's platform because he's got 50,000 viewers at a time watching, so I can get on his platform and get my book exposed. Oh, wait, he's not answering my DMs. Oh, he's being a total douchebag. Oh, he's not letting me in. Oh, you know what? This movie wasn't what I thought it was. You know what? These people weren't what I thought it was. You know what? Nuts to this. I'm out. And it's like, you didn't build the platform for yourself. That you got to put in the work and invest in the time. That's the hard part. That's where the real work comes in.
People aren't going to relying on to you unless they can see that you're actually putting the work out as well. Unless they can see that there's something that's going to come back to them for helping you, not just helping you.
Yeah, I've proposed several times to different creators who've been on the stream. I was like, look, if this is all about helping each other, and I always use the trading card, not scheme, but paradigm, where everybody's putting out trading cards with their books. I was like, look, if you could get 9 different creative teams, sorry, to get along with each other long enough for a project to come to fruition, then you could hire an artist collectively. You remember how X-Men cards came out in the 90s from Fleer?
I do.
You'd put them in that page and you'd say, oh my God, look, these 9 cards make one great big picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you get an artist to draw a 9 sheet of 9 different campaigns in one big collaborative picture. And then you cut them up and you say, here are your cards, here are your cards, here are your cards, put them in your campaigns. And then when you get people on your campaign and they get the card, they realize, oh, I should go get these 8 other cards. I'm going to go look at these 8 other campaigns. Now you got 8 campaigns, 9 campaigns, collaboratively helping each other out with a reason for one buyer to check out all the other campaigns, because we're a bunch of very single-minded collecting kind of people. Restrained myself there because I said you guys are inspirational to people here earlier, and I wanted to point out that Timmy Potts is in the chat here. He's listening in on how you explain creating your comics. Timmy was on our channel last week. He's 11 years old, and he has a Kickstarter called Super Cat that just got funded a couple of days ago. So he is going to be producing that one, and he's got the marketing going. He's got the T-shirt, and he's got the COVID masks with his character and logo on it. So he's figuring this thing out, and he's watching all these Indiegogos and Kickstarters to see what else can be done. Yeah,
I mean that again, that's the work you put into when you try to get your stuff promoted, and those are the steps you take. Absolutely, especially with smaller creators, building each other's platforms and appearing on each other's streams and helping each other out. There's a small group of creators that are doing that in CG, but it's a small group, but they're doing it, and they're doing their thing. So I much props to them. But yeah, again,
about building your own network, you've got to do that. I the first book that Critical Blast put out, we're a book publisher. We're not a comic book creative team. I can't draw to save my life, but we do publish literature books, I guess, books without pictures in them.
Yeah, which I love, by the way.
I was in well, they're great. We do a lot of fantasy that way. But the first one that came out, I was in like serious financial straits, like 30 days from homelessness with my family straits. And I was fortunate enough to get on EVS's channel at Christmas and, pitch my book in front of, his thousands of viewers. And you know what impact that had? I sold 5 books. So you can't, even if you get the access to someone's channel, it doesn't mean you're going to get anywhere if you don't have your network built up and people know who you are.
Exactly.
You're just a passing guest on somebody else's channel.
Yeah. And again, the mindset that you want to possess as a creator is not that you're entitled to anything. Go in there expecting, nothing, but understand that if you get anything, you want to show gratitude is very important. Humility is very important. Treat each backer, as a commodity, as something valuable. One thing I've been seeing lately from some creators is, I don't care if you refund it. You're one less person I got to deal with. And I'm like, you know what? That's not the attitude you want to take. And again, that's a prevailing attitude I'm seeing a lot in CG and people outside of CG is, we're willing to accept your refund. We don't want you as a backer. Now, I speak for myself, but I want to take as many backers as I can. And I think there comes a point as a creator where you don't want to increase or even maintain a large presence online where you interact with people because you start forming bad relationships. And then what happens? It affects the backers or goes back to the backers. And then you lose money like that. So
that's the last thing you want to do as an indie creator because, these mainstream creators, they can get away with that. They can say, hey, I don't want you to buy my book if you're this or that.
That was part
because you know what?
Was this whole attitude that I don't care about the customers. That attitude's part of what we oppose, isn't it?
Absolutely it is. But, with the mainstream creators, they got the mindset that the reader is not the customer. The retail shop is the customer. And, as long as retail shops aren't saying we're not going to, buy your book, then they can get away with getting to the ultimate end reader as much as they want.
It warps their I'm probably at a loss for that word, but if you're a creator, you're obviously more hungrier because that desire to succeed is there. It's a lot bigger as an indie creator, and in this day and age of Twitter and YouTube, we have greater access to the customers directly. So we're not looking at a mass, we're looking at individual people with the possibility of engaging with them and having, back and forth, which adds, I guess, the excitement of being an indie creator.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's also a lot of work because you are your own middleman. You cut middleman out, but now you're doing the middleman's job.
Well, and if you go to those big labels, they have the whole team to do every step. It's not one person has to draw it. It's when there's an artist there, he's got a whole team there to help him put everything together as he's drawing, all this other stuff. They have a whole system with hundreds of people to help with every book so they can get it done quickly with minimal work. We don't have that. We're doing it all ourselves out of passion.
Exactly. And it shows a lot in a lot of the work it shows. And I'm really, I keep hearing that this is the decline of the comic book industry, all because of the sales that are in retail shops. And what I'm seeing, I see this as a renaissance in comics that I haven't seen since the likes of the late 80s, early 90s. Now, we hit the black and white glut there right after Eastman and Laird did the Turtles and Frank Miller did Ronin, and everybody else said, my God, we can do these black and white things out of our garage, let's do it. And every retailer in the world was like, we want to be in on the next Turtles, so we're taking everything that we can see coming out.
That was my mindset when I was working on my book. That look of that indie comic from outside, like really outside the mainstream, kind of like as you mentioned, Eastman and Laird. So I was going with that mindset of creating just a fun book, a fun, absurd book. It's not going to be like a mind tickler or anything. What's that word? Well, it's not going to like blow you away in terms of like redefining our life and our meaning of life, but it's meant to be a fun book. Back in March, though, when this whole well, I don't know if we can say the word, but I'll call it the bioweapon. When the whole bioweapon thing was starting to really make its mark in the States, and shops started closing down, and you started reading very, very little by little the decline of the comic industry. People losing their jobs. Diamond shut down for a minute. A lot of artists and writers are being laid off. So many, including myself in the indie scene, were like, yeah, this is it. This is the end of the comic industry, but this could be a chance for indie creators now to actually step in and fill that void and really grow. And in the last couple of months, it's been looking like, and it still is, the indie community is what's really falling apart. Because here we're thinking, oh, the mainstream is going to collapse completely. That's the end of DC and Marvel. But here we are, DC and Marvel are still here, albeit, crippled, but they're still here. The indie market, however, has been divided with a lot of bickering and internet blood sports and all that stuff, all that nonsense that's been happening, and creators blocking customers and what have you. And I'm like, well, this is not what I expected. I expected the community, indie community, to really rise up and take over at least their local shops. Instead, it got divided. So it's funny how
local shops is a challenge.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Local shops is a challenge with the crowdfunded stuff because the price point right now is still so high that a lot of retailers can't find a way to break in and say, hey, I want to get 50 copies of whatever the next big book is out there. So
I think part of the problem is that we are in a culture now, as he said, where all these people looked at the collapsing industries and they said, well, we can get in, we can do better, we can make it. So you got a lot of people who, I think even well-intentioned, normally kind people, that little greed monkey went, I want to get it first. I want to get it better. Yeah. Screw you. I'm done with you. I need to get this first.
Yeah, because, when the industry collapses, a lot of people looked at it, and they should have looked at it, as when the stock market collapses. The stock market, they always say, oh, the stock market's crashed. Well, guess what? It's never like not opening the next day. It's just way, way down. And that's when everybody else is saying, this is a great time to buy things up and start making my mark in that market. Right. Same thing with, the crash in the comic book industry. Sales are way down. Marvel can't get books into stores. DC can't get books into stores. DC got a way around that because they got creative and they decided to do an end run around this whole funnel that they were being forced through.
Uh-huh.
But, the indie creators were like, we're distributing ourselves from, through the mail. We don't have a store that's closed down. We don't have a distributor that's not putting books out. It's all us. And they took righteous advantage of that.
Oh yeah, definitely. They definitely took it. And the thing is that as a community, we didn't. And I think this is going to be a missed opportunity when we look back on things. But again, if they're producing good books, I consider that a victory. I know DC has been kind of a hit or miss. Marvel's been consistently bad. And then Dynamite with their donating their funds to Marxist groups and attempt by Comicsgate to align with Dynamite was a disaster. I just see a lot of missed opportunities, but I guess you could chalk it up to growing pains too.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a lot of that. It's labor pains, really. I mean, something's being birthed right now, and that hurts when something's being born. Brad's in the chat, and he says one of the other things that's hurting him as an independent creator is the conventions have all shut down. And I know that as a book publisher and writer, I was planning to attend the local science fiction convention here in October, and that's months away, and they've already come out and said that Illinois is not going to be allowing that kind of a gathering at that point in time. So, it's the whole year has just been wiped out.
It is a hit. And I had Drew Ish, who's the creator of Captain Love, on my show a few weeks back, and he was talking to me about his experiences and how he got involved with the conventions and ways for an independent creator to do that. And I really think once conventions come back up and running, there is definitely opportunity. Now, will they honor those opportunities, or will they stay so steadfast to being pulled by the ears by Marvel and DC that those opportunities will stay close to independent creators remains to be seen. But I'm thinking because of these shutdowns and the loss of money in the industry, that I would think like especially the local conventions, they will be open to having indie creators come in and actually set up booths or tables and start and give the indie creator an opportunity now to actually build face to face an empire for himself or herself.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that stuff. Now, I want to remind people in the chat that the description below has a link straight to Elasmat's Indiegogo where you can get Road Warrior Drake
Get
and
Drake.
check it out on there. Now, you guys have, is it just Drake or is it Road Warrior Drake? Am I saying the wrong title?
Well, the name of the book is Street Champion Road Warrior Drake.
Okay.
And he starts out, okay, so he starts out as Drake, but he doesn't get the name Road Warrior till later on in the book.
All right. Is there can either of you guys bring up the page and share some artwork, show people what it is we're talking about here?
Yeah. Okay, so let me show you this first. I want people to see this so that they are aware that there is going to be a book. So I'm going to share my screen for a quick second, and then I'll share my my browser for the Indiegogo. So
Okay.
let me go ahead and share this screen. This is going to be okay. Do you see it?
Not yet. Hasn't come in yet. There it is.
Okay, so
now.
Okay, now you see this is my folder. This right here that you're looking at is the entire book. This is the entire book right here from first page to last page. So I have an entire book. Originally, it was at 160 pages. I'm going to bring it down to at least 120, maybe 130 tops. Doing some editing on it. I've also been updating the artwork. So let me show you some of the updates I've done to the artwork. Let me open up. Let's see, what's a good page to open up? Okay, let me try this page here. I don't know if you can see it. I probably have to reshare the screen. Yeah, I'm going to have to reshare the screen. So I'm going to just close this up for a second so you can see.
Okay.
Wrong button. It's this button right here. Okay, here we go. Stop this. Okay, now I'm going to share this application window. Here we go. Okay. Do you see that?
Not yet, but it's coming. There it is. Okay. Now
Okay.
Click on it and share it back.
Yeah. Okay, so that's one of the pages. Now the artwork, I've updated the artwork quite a bit. It started off as simple, just black and white, but I've been adding some shading on it. I actually had to sit down with George Peter Gatsis of Joe King fame, and he was explaining to me ways to really enhance the black and white. So I went back, I added some shading, some highlights. It looks a lot better, some gradient maps to give the panels like a three-dimensional look, so it doesn't look just like a flat black and white panel, but actually has more character and life to it. Now, I could show it before and after, but that's a lot of windows I'm clicking, so I just want to show you that this is exactly how it's going to look in terms of the updated artwork. It's going to have this kind of look to it. So
there's my painted one of that, still of her.
Let me take a look at that. Oh,
That's one of the pieces I made.
Oh, that's nice. Now, what have you painted that on?
That's actually on a wood piece here.
Okay. I see. Yeah, now that you turned around, that's very cool.
Hand painted merch.
Is that going to be a stretch goal or a perk?
Right now I've been set. That one's actually got somebody who's paying for it already. I don't know what we're going to do with some of this stuff because I'm making definitely more to sell.
Now you are working on the coloring for the next project, but obviously you've colored something here for Drake just to get some artwork out there. Is that all your coloring work behind you on the wall there too?
No, that is Tilt from Doc Hog. That's the poster to his. The color stuff I've been doing for him, I've actually been putting into book here, so you can actually see it's laid out here as I go. And you can see my kind of colors pop and the way the skins are very
full screen here.
3D and very shaded. So that's the way I've been doing it. And yeah, it's a lot of work because I do everything by hand. So.
You color by hand? You don't do it digitally?
Yeah. It's all Prisma pencils.
That's a lost art.
I'm
gonna put
not a normal person.
Well, who in the indie comics is? I'm trying to add the screen share in here now, and it looks like it's coming up. Okay, here's the Indiegogo page.
Okay, so that's the trailer for the campaign. It's a 2-minute trailer featuring original music by Purple Smurf and Anthony of Dark Gift Comics, with vocals by Aaron Handy, who did the lead vocals, and the spoken word done by Rosetta Allen. This was the 2-minute animated trailer, which was actually a last-minute idea to add to the campaign before it launched, and it turned out to be the most important part of the campaign because this trailer is by itself is selling the book.
Trailer, I love. I love the song we did. It just absolutely melts me.
Very cool. And I can see you guys did hit your goal. How long did it take you to get to full goal there? Did you have to take the full 30 days, or did the extension come in, or was it like overnight and then the rest is gravy?
We hit it, I think, in the halfway point of the first 30 days.
Yeah, it was right at
Nice.
like day 16.
Yeah. So it was pretty good. I was like, wow, okay, we did it. And things have slowed down since then. So I've been trying to work extra hard to promote the book, but I'm trying to get to 2,000 because by 2,000 I can get the first stretch goal unlocked, which is the ash can of Road Warrior Drake versus Simon Simpotier's Vincent from Bloodhunt, which is currently in fulfillment right now.
Oh,
Lots
cool.
of people.
So I want to show people this. So here's the thing. I am $95 away from $2,000. I have here the featured tier, which is a Street Champion package. This tier, you get 4 books. You get the graphic novel, you get the manga version. You also get the 2 variant covers, one by Peter Gilmore of the Littlest Umbrella fame, and you get the Vic King variant. Now, if you back that tier now and get me to $2,000, in addition to those 4 books, you get the ash can, and for being the one that gets me to 2,000, you got to get the coloring activity book that I gave to the mailing list backers. So you're going to walk away with 6 books if you get me to 2K, and you do that tier, you'll get 6 books as opposed to 4.
All right. Well, that's very cool. That's a lot of. I mean, remember, people, the graphic novel itself is 120 pages.
Minimum,
So-
but yeah.
And,
And it's a complete story. So just so that people watching this can get an idea. So it's a complete story. Now I have a planned trilogy for this character, but this book is a complete story unto itself. So it's not like a first act. It's an actual like first act, second act, climax. You got yourself a story with a little bit of a possible what do you call it, cliffhanger, setting up the second story. But the cliffhanger doesn't affect the main story. You get the main story will be resolved, but you get the setup for the second story.
All right. So let's take a look at these other tiers here then.
Yes. So if you choose not to back the featured tier,
But somebody do take the $90 one, because I'd love that to happen during this stream.
yeah, oh, that'd be awesome. If you can do that, man, that will be this would be the featured stream. I'll probably make this a featured stream on my page, especially when this book goes in demand. People will say, "Oh, it was on Critical Blast stream that we hit the first stretch goal." Get that? There you go. Absolutely.
Do that. Thank you.
Yes. So first perk is the graphic novel, the digital version. Now I initially offered it as just the US version, the regular graphic novel, but if you back this tier, you'll get both the regular version and the manga version together. So for $20, you'll get a PDF of both the graphic novel and the manga version. And this tier is, I think, very good for people overseas who don't want to pay the extravagant shipping. And, I try to keep shipping. I kind of keep the shipping reasonable, more or less. But, again, shipping can be expensive overseas. So if you don't want to pay the shipping, for the $20 tier, you get both books. You get the regular version and the manga version. So you get 2 books for the price of 1.
Yeah, I think when people first started doing all of this, the shipping is what was the surprise kick in the butt that they weren't expecting when this all came through. Because I would wager some of the early campaigns actually lost money when it was all done because of the shipping charges they had to pay.
Yeah.
I know some people who are still struggling with that balance and how much to charge for shipping without overcharging and not losing money and all that.
Yeah, because it's all calculated by weight, and the more you start adding goodies to your package, the heavier your package gets. So, when you set your tier up, when you set your campaign up, rather, you know how much a 120-page book is going to weigh. So,
Mhm.
that can be calculated. But if all of a sudden you're just like, hey, if we get to 2,000, I'm going to throw in these, metal prints that, weigh a half a pound each. Well, guess what happened to your shipping?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it is a challenge with the shipping costs, absolutely. And then this is why I think it's important to have an idea of how many pages you're doing, so that way you can charge accurately. Again, I try to be fair with the shipping with the books because there's been a lot of controversy, especially in comics regarding how the books are being boarded and shipped.
Yeah.
So I want to make people clear that when I ship the books out, not only am I going to have them properly packaged, but you'll also get a tracking number too. So you'll get an idea of when the book will be shipped to you. So I will provide that for you as well.
Yeah, that's not that hard a thing to do either. I'm surprised that hasn't been there from the beginning. But when you talk about like the infamous stealing solo with the stamp on the back cover,
Yeah.
Or things arriving in Ziploc bags.
And for that with Jeff, I mean, I understand he had no idea, so he just hired a company and trusted them to do it, and yeah, that's why you don't just trust another company to do that for you.
No, you don't, because to them it's just another magazine.
He's learned. To be fair, he's actually started shipping them himself now and signing them.
Yes. So we got the $20 digital package.
And then you got the regular graphic novel for $25 with shipping. Again, 120 plus pages of action adventure and the story of the street champion Road Warrior Drake himself. And then you can choose the manga version. And the manga version, in addition to going from right to left, I'll be updating your artwork to match the manga style more or less. So it'll the woman will look more manga style and some adjustments to the eyes to match the manga style look to it. So
Okay.
So I'll make it as manga inspired as possible for this version. So, and then it'll be of course regular manga size version. So it'll be like the 5:7.5 ratio.
Bianca, I have no control over my microphone volume. This is it right here. This thing I'm holding in front of my mouth. So it's Bluetooth to the phone, which is what I'm using for my broadcasting. So yes, I do sound less. I have less volume than you guys do.
You sound good though. I think it sounded good.
Well, I know when I replay it, I sound lighter than everybody else. So if it gets turned up, everybody else kind of gets blasted out by some of the guests. But this is
Actually,
right now. This is the best I can pull off.
So Bianca actually was one of the first to review my book, and he gave me some pointers on how to improve it. So one of the things he suggested was shorten the book. The number of pages we disagreed on, but the book definitely needed to be shortened. So I was working on that, and then updating the artwork and making the artwork a lot better. So criticism is important. Some people don't like criticism, but
criticism needed
while you're in the
honest reviews, not just compliments.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I tend to talk with people because I'm impulsive. So
me too.
Okay, cool. So you understand.
Yeah.
All right. So criticism is important during the production stages. It's very important. You rather get the criticism while you're making the book rather than after you fulfilled it, and then they're talking about 5 feet panels or borders that take up half the page or what have you. Definitely criticism is important. And you take it as much as you can, and get as much of it. Pick up. You don't have to agree with every criticism because at the end of the day, it's your vision, but it's necessary. Sometimes they'll see something that you didn't see, and you're like, hey, you know what? That might work.
Oh yeah,
and I've had a lot of
that. That's all that's the core business at criticalblast.com is that we are a critique site. We review movies, we review comics, we review books and music and television shows. And it's only been over time that we've branched out into the publishing business and then turned our reporting services into a YouTube channel as well and try to grow the brand that way. But Rosetta's right. I mean, it has to be, even-handed criticism. We don't want to become a shill site where it's like, hey, these are the comics we love this week, and we always love the comics we report on. I have reported on crowdfunded books. CG books and non-CG books, where I did not give a 5-star review to something. So I don't think I even.
Yeah, and I had a guy on my show a couple weeks back who had an Indiegogo page. His name was Timothy Olsen. He had a book called Meldon, and he had like one page of artwork. No, actually, no, he didn't have any pages of artwork on his page, and he didn't really go deep into his book. So I told him on the show, I said, if you want people to come to your campaign and actually draw more backers, you got to update your Indiegogo, add more artwork, especially like interior pages. Put some pages into the Indiegogo, explain the characters, talk about the artists, explain the shipping arrangements, what have you.
And he was, but he did it too late and didn't make it.
So he's actually going to redo the campaigns. He shut it down, but he's going to end up redoing it. So I think he'll come up much better.
Yeah, if you've only got like 2 pages of artwork or just a few pages of artwork on your Indiegogo, people are going to assume that that's what you've got done. And they don't want to risk, putting money into something that's not going to be completed. God knows there are so many campaigns out there now that, I get a kick about how everybody talks about how late Cyberfrog was, the first book. And it was 8 months late because nobody knew what they were doing yet. They were still, figuring out schedules. But then this criticism would come from people who've got Kickstarters that are 6 years behind. I was like, dude, you're not the guy to be talking about this.
Well, I think a certain Richard Pace is guilty of that, for example. Yeah.
There's some trust fund baby that always accuses people of being horrible sexual deviants that does that crap.
The poultry guy.
Yeah, for example. But I've learned that customers will forgive lateness if you're consistent with the updates. In my case, listen, I told my customers right now that I'm planning on having the book shipped out by Christmas, but I'm also letting them know right now where I'm at. So right now I'm in the updating the art stages. So, the pages I showed you that I completed, I'm going back and I'm just updating the look of it, adding more shading, making it look a bit more 3-dimensional. So that could add another month that I didn't plan on. But as long as I update that and show them this is what's going on, where I'll be as far as, shipping or printing at some point. So it's very important to just update that.
I backed a book that is now almost, I want to say about 2 years late, but the guy is still, putting up new pages. He's putting up updates. Right now, I think he has all the pages and he lettered them and he didn't like the way it looked when he lettered them. So he's hiring another guy to do the lettering and he's letting us know that, hey, this is what's happening with it. So I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. Cause $35 is not breaking me that I don't have my thing yet. I don't think you ran off with it because you're still on here and reachable. So that's cool.
Yeah,
that's
and
good.
I have right. And I have
you got a December date that looks like here.
Yeah, December tentatively. My goal is to have it shipped out in time for Christmas. If I can get through the month of, at the very least, September with a completed book, I might meet that goal. But if I don't, the backers will know immediately. And at the very least, let them show them that, okay, the book is completed. That's step 1. Step 2 is sending it out to the printer, get the proof back, make sure that the proof is to my standards. And then next step is getting the book printed. And then once I get it printed, I start packaging it and then get it sent out to the backers.
Yeah, brother, take your time with the proof is all I can tell you.
Yes.
Because a lot of, it's tempting to say, you get the proof in your hand and here's this bound book and it's like, yes, this is what it's going to look like. And you go, oh, this is great. I got all my artwork in here. Dude, let me show you something here. We just finished putting out, yes, I take time on my own shows to show my own stuff. That's what I have the show for, right? We just got this book put out. It's on Amazon right now, The Devil You Know. This is 20 short stories written by 20 different authors, 370 pages, fantasy stories about meetings with the devil. So they sent me the proof, and I said, I looked at it electronically, and they said, we recommend you get a print copy of this first. Order one for yourself before you hit the button. I'm like, it looks good electronically. I said, shove it out there. Well, this is a 5x8 format book. I told them it's a 5x8 format book. I told my cover artist, this is a 5x8 format book that's 165 pages. because he had to get the spine the right width.
Yeah.
Guess what? I clicked that it was a 6x9. I sent them a 6x9 manuscript that they printed in a 5x8 book.
Wow.
So everything was off the edges.
Yeah.
And they stopped production as soon as they saw it. And they're like, hey, dumbass, you did this wrong. So I'm like, oh, crap, this sucks. And like nine books had sold that first day. I was like, stop, everybody return it. We're going to get it fixed. I had to go back to my cover artist. I'm like, yeah, that page thickness, it's not 162. When I changed the manuscript down to 5x8, it became the 370. So thicker spine, heavier weight, bigger cost, and all that stuff. So I got my one book and I said, okay, it's not printing off the page. It looks good. Everything is fantastic. Yes, this can go. And I've got my 20 author copies over here packaged up and they're ready to go out. And I sat back and I was like, this is so freaking cool. I'm loving, holy, and I threw the book because I found a section header break where my page headers, you know, when you're reading an anthology, it's like, here's the story title and it's written by this person. Then you turn the page and at the top of the page, it says, here's the author, here's the story. And it keeps that up until the story changes. I had two stories where it didn't change at all because my section headers kept linking back to the previous section header. So I've got to re-upload that, which cost me money now because I've gone into publication. It's like, yep, $45 to change the interiors. I'm like, I'm not going to reprint anything. I'll send extra copies to the two authors who it affected because I want them to have, their book with their perfect thing in it. But take your time because there will be stuff that you will not see in the first, second, even the third pass. Give yourself a week with that book before, because you're in a hurry. You want to get your book out, but you want it to be right more than you want it to be fast.
I agree 110% with what you said. And that definitely, I expect before anything to get a proof copy and to go to each page to make sure it meets my standard. Because you're right. I want to catch that error during the proof stage before I mass produce it. So believe me, I already had that in mind that before I get the books printed, I want the proof copy first in my hand. Not just a proof copy of the graphic novel, but proofs of the manga, proof of the hardcover. And I want to see those in my hand and make sure that physically they meet my standard before I say, do it, print them out.
It is worth the extra time.
Yes.
Believe me, because fixing it on the back end sucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, Bradley Path, he made a comment I want to address quickly. He said the printer should have caught the problem before they printed it. The problem with that is the printer's assuming that they know what you're putting on page. So, exactly. what might be an error could actually be an artist's intent. So, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on your point of view, it falls on the creator to find the error before they approve of the
especially
printing.
with the graphic novel, because that could be intentional bleed off the side of the page.
Mm-hmm.
With ours, it was all text. Obviously, we don't want the text going off the edge of the page and off the top of the page. But the printer did catch it. That's how it got to our attention because they stopped it. And I'm like, why did you stop printing? And they're like, there's an issue. And it took them a whole week for them to tell me what the issue was.
Yeah.
And before that time, one of the authors had bought their own copy and sent me pictures of, hey, have you seen this? And I'm like, holy crap, that's horrible. So it's better now. It's better now.
Yeah.
So we're looking at the Draco
Draco Guerrerista. Yeah, that's Spanish. That's something that I'm experimenting with, which is a Spanish language version of the book. I was inspired by that when I appeared on the CG Latino YouTube show, and there's a big Spanish-speaking population of fans who are into comics. So I said, let me just do a Spanish tier to see if I can reach that audience. As you can see, nobody's claimed it yet, but I still got everything.
It's a very good idea. I mean, I've seen several Hispanic creators in the community, and I haven't seen any Hispanic comics.
Yeah, and not only that, but a lot of creators are experimenting with manga, and it's an opportunity to have those books translated in Japanese. So
that would be an excellent thing. Now, the word balloons get kind of funky when you're experimenting in manga because now you're reading up and down.
Yeah. That can be that can be a bit of a challenge, but if you understand the format, then you just go along with it.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that doing an alternate language will never work if I actually do the ones I'm trying to work on, because I don't think anyone out there would want a book in Lakota.
In what language?
Lakota.
Oh, yeah, that would be a little hard.
Because that's the stories I'm going to be trying to do are going to be based in Sioux heritage and family history. So.
Yeah, well, yeah. The Lakota-speaking population is probably a lot more niche than the Hispanic-speaking population.
It is. It basically would be middle of the Midwest. Would have a lot of people who would be able to buy it. That would be it.
Yeah, that'd be it. You might as well put it in Navajo code talk.
Technically, there's less Navajo, but yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So it's like, so I look at this and I go, it won't work for me, but I'm proud he's trying to do it. I appreciate that he's trying to really do something different. That's kind of why I'm doing the hand painted stuff. It's something nobody else has for their comic characters.
Absolutely. Like I said, the hand painted, hand color stuff is a lost art. Everybody's going digital with it.
Yeah, in the case of my book, I drew it in pencil, inked it by hand, but then I touched it up on the computer, which is where I'm doing the shading. So it's a marriage of various styles and techniques to create this book.
Very cool. Now, what's this? Now we got the Vic King variant. Is this the penciling that we're seeing? That's Vic King's pencils?
Yeah, he completed the ink, so I'm gonna send that over to Rosetta so she can color the cover for me. So she's gonna be doing the color version of this. And yeah, it's the same price as the graphic novel, so you get the Vic King variant for $25. And Vic King, who's done work for Wart the Wizard, among other books.
Yeah.
And then
I knew the name.
Yes.
And Mandy's going to be on our show Thursday night.
Vic is a sweetheart. I've talked to him on my show and had some time with him, and he's just a really nice guy.
This right here is a Peter Gilmore variant. So you get the Dirty Harry inspired cover. Drawn by Peter Gilmore, who, of course, is the artist behind the Case of Lowe's Umbrella, Rocket Gal, and the upcoming that book that him and Super that one. So yeah, he's out there. He's doing his thing. So he did the variant cover for Street Champion Road Warrior Drake. So if you're a fan of Dirty Harry, you get this cool looking cover here.
I love it. I just finished watching the Spirit yesterday, and it was. If you remember watching that Gabriel Macht film, it was filmed the same way. Frank Miller's version of The Spirit. It was black and white and bright red. And that was the only three colors they really used in it. And it really pops when you do that.
I remember. Yeah, I did remember seeing that movie, actually. It's a challenge to translate that on screen, but it looks nice when you do it right. So I actually do like that combination of black, white, and red. To me, it just seems like red is the natural fit with the black and white. This is actually a tier here that I'm going to back for myself, the hardcover edition, because I feel like this story calls for a hardcover copy. So I'm definitely going to get one for myself. But for $35, you get the hardcover Street Champion Road Warrior Drake.
Very nice. Hardcovers are something you don't see a lot of.
Yeah, I feel like when you have a book or story in hardcover, you're looking at something prestigious. So I feel like I want to give that prestige to Street Champion Road Warrior Drake. And then you can have both variant covers. This is actually, if you want to save money, you can get both variant covers, the Vic King and the Peter Gilmore covers for $40. So you can save money by getting both books here.
Yeah. Two people done that.
Yep. So
let's get three more people to do that right now.
Yes.
Three more people to get the $40 book. That'll push you over to $2,000.
Let's get her done. And then here you can get the graphic novel and the manga. So if you just want to get those two books, again, you can save on the price by getting this tier. But in my humble opinion, the tier you want to get is the Street Champion package. We get 4 books, and if you're the backer, again, I reiterate, if you're the backer that gets $2,000, we're $95 away from $2K. So if you get this tier with the shipping, you get us over to $2K. In addition to this tier, in which you walk away with 4 books, you get the Ash Can of Road Warrior Drake versus Vincent, which all the backers will get. But if you're the one that gets me to 2K, you exclusively will get the Coloring Activity book, which is a separate story, which is the explanation on how Drake ends up doing all these crossovers. So you'll walk away.
That's something I never really considered. If somebody did purchase them, you're 95 away right now. You say,
yeah.
If somebody bought this $90 book, Does the shipping get included in your goal total?
Yeah, it
So
does.
would it grow by 95?
It will grow. It will go past 95. So it'll.
Are we sure about that? Did we check?
Yeah, I think the shipping is added to the price, to the total in terms of the backing.
Because I've never paid attention to those
I-
things whenever I've.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the reason why I know this is because Doug Snaple, he tends to overprice on his shipping, and the total of the shipping adds to his total numbers when he backs his books. Which I mean, it's an objective, perspective. It's not. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. But your shipping price does get added to the total numbers when you factor the overall backing of the book.
I would hate for somebody to put the 90 down right now and then say, we're $5 short.
I was going to say, I haven't seen that in the ones I've been backing recently. I think they changed that.
What do you mean?
I haven't seen the shipping show up when I refresh it after I back something, just the amount I back.
No, when you back it, the shipping charge is added to the overall price, and then added to the
last few I've done that with haven't done that anymore.
They might have included shipping, but shipping is definitely included with the overall amount of the book.
It hasn't the last few times I backed something, so I think they may be changing that.
No, they haven't changed that. That's something that hasn't changed.
Next time I back something.
Yeah.
Because I was checking that the other day and it wasn't showing that the one I backed. So
When you look at books like Cyberfrog and Bigfoot Bill, the total includes the shipping.
Yeah, well, that's a little bit different because he's what he says when he does the total includes the shipping is that he's not letting the system add the shipping to it. He's saying in the system it's $0 shipping because he's got it built into his total price.
Well, okay, that's different because so what you, in this case, what you're saying is instead of adding, because when you do the tiers, you have an option to add the shipping charge.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is instead of him adding the shipping charge, he include the price of shipping on the retail price of the book itself.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. You know,
I've done the same thing.
Okay.
So the best way to find out is somebody needs to pick up this $90 tier, and then we'll look to see if it's $5 away. And if it's $5 away, I will throw $5 into it to kick it to 2,000, so that you, as the $90 person, get the prize package here.
That's fair. It's like because I thought it did the first few I backed, but the last few I backed, it wasn't showing when I refreshed the system while I was interacting with them. Just the sale itself was. So I don't know why that's not consistent on all of them.
You know, I'll look into that. You know, it could be maybe it may be an update. So I'll look into that.
Let's refresh the page and see if somebody did it.
Okay,
I
let's
don't
see.
know if they did or not, but it would be cool if it did happen.
Well, you never know. It's always good to be excited. Ooh, not yet. Not yet.
I've been surprised before. So
yes,
okay.
Me too.
It did not move.
By the way, let me add.
While we talk.
Let me add that the first 3 pages of the book are available on the campaign page. So if you want to see how the first 3 pages read, so you get an idea of the book itself in terms of the dialogue and the artwork, it's available on the page, so you'll know exactly what kind of book you're getting into. I know that I've heard from a lot of people that sometimes these campaigns don't include interior pages, so I made it a point to, at the very least, make sure I included the first 3 pages of the book, so you'll know right then and there what kind of book you're backing. There will be no question or mystery what kind of book you get.
Exactly, and it's got a very it does have that very early Eastman and Laird kind of feel to it, which people love that. It's I want to say primitive, and I don't mean that in the bad way.
Oh, I know.
Because there are people who like that primitive style of indie artwork because it screams out indie. It's not polished by some.
And for those who want proof by hand, this is the one that was blank that I was holding up a few minutes ago. See, the bill there is done. I'm starting on the skin.
And you just colored. You've been coloring this while we've been talking here.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
Painting. These are canvas cards I'm making.
Now, what are you going to do with the canvas cards?
I haven't decided on that. My husband got me a whole bunch of 4x6 and 5x7s for these canvas hardbacks. And they're so freaking beautiful. And I'm doing paint work anyway, so I decided to make all 200 he got me into these different cards of different scenes from the book.
It'd be cool.
And they're all going to be unique. And I'm thinking I may just sign them all and send them to him and have him put them into one of the programs for another book down the road or something.
If I had that kind of talent, and I don't, and I had like 9 of those things, I'd be like doing Watchmen pages. I'd just be like painting them all up, and then I'd be hanging them on my wall in 3x3 grids, just like have a 3-dimensional comic book page on my wall. But I'm kind of weird that way, so.
Well, we're all weird, so you're in good company.
Absolutely. All right, so we've been here a little over an hour. I think we've got Road Warrior Drake pretty much covered here as far as to what it's about and what people can get and what they should be backing here to get the best deals. What else are you working on? I mean, is it going to jump from book 1 to book 2, or is the Last Matt doing another project in between the books?
That's a good question. My original plan was after this book, I was going to work on another book, a horror comedy with werewolves called Solomon's Damnation, which is actually a sequel to a film that I directed called Solomon's Requiem, which is a zombie film. My plan was to go into that book, start writing out the story outline for it, then like do a quick storyboard of it, and then get to the pages. And now that I have a feel for this whole, independent Indiegogo stuff, I'll have a better idea of how to time it and how to plan it out so that I get the book out in a timely fashion. And then go into the second story for Road Warrior Drake, titled "Be Citizen, Road Warrior Drake." But that all depends on what happens in terms of the success or the reception, I should say, of this book. And the reason why I say that is because, to me, the indie community right now is definitely fractured. There's a lot less camaraderie than it used to be. And for me, it's kind of taking an effect on me on a personal level. And I felt like maybe I just need to walk away from it after I fulfill my book and just enjoy the simpler things in life. Because what used to be a friendly, customer-oriented movement has become something a bit more cutthroat and very savage. And as an artist, it can affect your drive, and I don't want anything affecting me artistically. So,
I've compared it a lot to the Reformation, where if Marvel and DC were the Catholic Church, then the first guy to break off and start doing all this crowdfunding stuff was Martin Luther, hammering up his little proclamation on the wall. And since that point, there's been split after schism after breakup, and you get now all these different denominations that all say they're Comicsgate, but they're Comicsgate Reform, Southern Comicsgate, Free Will Comicsgate. It's all over the place and crazy now. Yeah.
I mean, look, CG is a broad term, so I don't think anybody has a what do you call it? A monopoly on the term.
Somebody's got a trademark on it.
Supposedly. Let's see how that turns out.
He does. I've seen it filed.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, let's hope so, because the last thing we need is that'll be a whole disaster if it went the other way. So, it's a broad term. It simply just means you want entertaining books. You want good customer service. You don't want to be pushed down to. You don't want a fluff piece. You just want a good, exciting story.
Well, I read today from an online source that the 2 tenets of Comicsgate were misogyny and racism. So, which if they're tenets, that means it's written down somewhere, right?
Yeah. Here's the Hispanic Comicsgate creator here with his, mixed race female employee telling you that this community hates minorities and women. Right?
Well, the whole reason we have you here is so that you can say that. You know that, right?
Oh, that's what they all say. Oh, you're just a token. It's like, fuck you. That's so inappropriately rude. So
I agree.
basically, you're saying I don't have a mind of my own. And who's racist again?
It's never going to change. I think every movement basically gets defined by the worst people in it. So yeah, I think CG's had some. Yeah, every healthy functioning body has an asshole, and half of them have dicks.
Oh, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them, but that's okay because I can be one too. It's fine.
And there's some total pussies out there too. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. All right. Well, that went off in a stream we didn't really want to get into. Not at the end of the stream. That'd be great for the beginning of one and then go on for an hour. But you guys are working. I'm going to let you guys get back to it. And I do appreciate you coming on the stream tonight and giving us a chance to take a look at Road Warrior Drake here.
Yeah, this was fun. I appreciate coming on.
Glad to have you. And, when you move on to the next book or the next project, film or comic, definitely hit us up and let us know that you can come on. We'll be happy to push it out there.
Yeah, that sounds great. Absolutely.
All right. Everybody in chat, appreciate you being here. Bat2, I am going to look into that software package and see what I can get for Windows. Because MS Word is definitely hard to work with. Everyone else, y'all have a good night, and yes, got me now.
Yeah, I could talk to you a little after. You're looking at something you can use to lay out text really neat and maybe add photos on occasion.
All right.
There's a program my husband found me that I've been using to design my Eagle book. That's really actually pretty nice looking when you actually sit there and put the pages together.
Okay, well, cool. Well, I'll hang around for that. There's an after show, people, that you won't be seeing, but thank you for coming and good night.
Have a good night.
And it takes forever for the stream to end.
You could just make that button timed with your freaking pushing it.
I'm melting. What a world. What a world. What a world.
We're still live.
I'm melting.
It's not gonna end. Oh.
This is the show that doesn't end. Oh, look at that. It came back and said it couldn't connect to the internet to shut my show off. Nice. I was like, wait a second. You're telling me I have trouble connecting? Yeah. I'm literally in a cave with a 5-year-old laptop. It's trying again. You know what? The thing is, I've learned a long time ago not to broadcast from the host. Everything you're seeing with me is actually, I'm a guest on my own show. So I can actually reboot the whole computer like I just kind of sort of did here.
Right.
And it doesn't stop the stream.
So we're still going.
Believe me, yeah, we're still going. Nobody get naked yet. But now,
Well,
if I do myself as a guest, then the whole system can crash and the show doesn't stop.
Okay, well, I'm gonna hop off now because my wife is calling to me, and I don't
Take care of the family always.
You too. We'll talk soon. All right.
We'll see you.
You ever gonna get that thing down?
No, not yet. Usually that's not such a problem here. Hey, look at that, still live, entering the. Yeah, usually I have a problem getting it started. Never really had this kind of a problem killing one before.
It's me. I'm bad luck.
They say that you can host this thing now from your phone. I don't want to give that a shot yet.
You may want to hop in on the phone as your host and see if you